Can you hear me, please? Okay, how about now? Can everybody hear me? All right, all right, all right. Marlon, are you ready? It reminds me of a song, Ballroom Blitz. All right, let's get started here. I don't have a room, software, or plug-in to sell. I am old school rules, old school trading, and old school market principles. I give a newsletter you can read and a market recap video you can watch. I'm the timekeeper of the Holy Grail, the hidden internal E-mini clock, the clock that controls every turn, every day, intraday. I'm a trader first, old school market principles educator second, and levels you can trust everyday supplier third. It's about using the wet gray matter between your two ears, the best way to beat those algos, get those dendrites and synaptics firing, laying down those chemical traces, the mother spider of the brain, improving your intuition, connecting the gap between your heart and your mind. Your heart's where intuition lies, and Wyckoff is a big player on intuition. The algos, they have no heart. That's how you win against the algos. At the end of the day, it's all about how well you judge the market. That's what determines your P&L and nothing else. Before we get started, I would just like to say the presentations this week have been stellar. I've been staying up late at night watching the replays and hanging out with my old chatmates. The only thing missing was WB. Unfortunately, you don't have WB, but you do have me. And knowing WB has made me a better me. And with that, let's get started. I see the market through the eyes of the old school traders, the Harriman, the Kern, J.P. Morgan, Jesse Livermore, and Richard D. Wyckoff. How they saw the market, how they traded the market, how markets manipulated before the days of Trump's Twitters and tweets, before the days of decimals and algos who now run and rule the market. I help E-mini traders hold their trades longer by using the timing of an internal hidden clock, a clock that controls all turns intraday every day. This gives you one, and actually it's three benefits. You're going to trade longer, you scale up a size and confidence, and of course you have more profits. So when the losses do come around, and they will, you will have more capital to draw from to keep you in the game longer as a professional trader. Now, this is Mr. Top Steps Symposium on Surviving the Trump Tweet Era. I'm WycoffTrader, and this is the 11 o'clock webinar. Some traders may want to blame their inability to see the constant grid in their P&L at the end of the day on the algos. I know, I don't like them either. When I first wanted to trade, the reason I told myself I wanted to prove my prowess against the mind of another man. Now imagine my frustrations when I discovered it was not a mother spider mind, but electrochemical dielectric charge capacitance on a microchip inside a leased computer just 30 meters away from the exchange. And I'm 3,000 miles away on a 30 gigabit DSL internet connection. Now, how possibly do you compete against that? And algos who live on the computers are allowed to trade in fractions of a penny, 1/100th of a cent, and 1/1000th of a millisecond. It's not that the algos are better than a human mind. It's just they're faster and live on a different dimension of time. Now, humans have intuition. And algos have a dimension we cannot occupy to calculate all possible permutations of a given event. But as traders, we do have an advantage, and that is timeless intuition. The past, the present, the future, all within our visual perception. Mass crowd psychology and those of humans acting in real time and timing of an internal he-mini clock. That's how you win against the machines. Just try my AM Turn newsletter. You'll be glad you did. Now, if you're interested in that, hang around. If you're not, you'll probably want to click out. I'm WycoffTrader. Of course, that's me right there. And I've been keeping WB's memory alive since the day he died. I'm partners with Mr. Top Step, as you can see right here. We'll go ahead and get rid of that. Right on the website. The clock that controls all turns intraday every day. And once again, this is the 11 o'clock webinar on surviving the Trump Twitter tweet era. And this week has really been a challenge. Now, my goal is to help you find two things: to time your trade with Swiss clockwork precision, know its 92% accuracy or certainty, where, when the high and the low of the day will print, and know when to trade and how to trade with Wyckoff and the hidden clock. Now, I've been trading these markets for the past 13 plus years, and since the AM Turn's first issue, that's back in August 18th, 2017, I've given over 424 trades, both long and short, to my faithful subscribers. And of course, over 1.5 years, if you were a subscriber and taking each and every trade, you could have made about 172,000 on one lots. And of course, on a 3 lot, it'd be 516. And that's over 3,400 points to date. I've got 500 issues and 500K behind me. Hey, you're buying a winning product. That's $500,000 throughout the past year with 424 trade recommendations. That's over 172 just on one lots. And of course, 516 on 3. And the tally just keeps going. I'm an expert on Wyckoff and of course, WB's hidden clock. Old school market principles. The Wyckoff supply, demand, cause and effect, effort versus result, and the interaction of price, volume, and time. And before we go any further, let's get to it. Yes, I have skin in the game. I trade my own personal account. Tuna, bill fish, sardine, bill trades, or for educational purposes only. I'm not a futures broker and do not manage any accounts. It's my intent to show where trades may occur. What you do is up to you. You can follow my levels ideas to profit or loss. You determine trade size, when, where, how you trade. CFD futures is not for everyone. It's a volatile, complex, and risky business. Before you invest, know how much you can afford to lose. So who was Wyckoff? Now, Wyckoff lived back in the 1920s, 1930s, and he created a magazine on Wall Street. And of course, he helped Jesse Livermore, who at that time pen name was Edward Levine. Of course, there's Wyckoff. They penned it together. Write the remnants of the stock market operator, the classic of all classics. When the market's in a bad mood, I always put that on the bookshelves. Now, Wyckoff took the best of what he learned from the traders of his day and he turned into principles and procedures into the Wyckoff Stock Market Institute, SMI for short. Supply, demand, cause and effect, effort versus result, and the interaction of price, volume, and time. Together with 6 principles and 9 buying and selling tests, Wyckoff was the first market technician, and he coined the phrase supply and demand resistance areas. And he called WB again a calculating machine. Who was WB? Well, WB was a trader who, from his mentor, saw a hidden clock that controlled every turn, every day in the market. WB took what seemed to be random patterns and turned them into form, shape, definition, and direction to the market each and every day. A day will either be normal or aberrant. A cycle will either be bull or bear, each with 4 days. After the second day, the cycle is locked in stone. He said it could only be wrong once every 4 days. Who is WycoffTrader, and what can the AM turn do for you as an E-mini intraday trader? That's a great question. During the course of my trading career, I've been fortunate to have stood on the shoulders of giants. The original man, Richard DeMille Wyckoff, through his word, PQ Wall from the 1970s, and Craig at Stock Market Institute through calls and letters, and WB through chats and one-on-one long 2- and 3-hour phone conversations. WB knew he was soon to be passing. He wanted me to ensure that his legacy would not be forgotten. So each day, he instilled his wisdom, knowledge, passion, and insight of the clock that controls all turns intraday each day in the market. After WB's passing, the folks at Mr. Top Step asked me to take over WB's subscriber newsletter within a few days. It took me a while for me to pony up to the challenge to fill WB's shoes. The WB's newsletter was just an email with an attached chart. I wanted to make sure that what I was providing to the market, to the trading community, was the best. The E-mini market timing newsletter available anywhere. In order for me to put my name on it, it had to be the best. It had to be what I wished I could have found. It had to be what I wanted and was looking for when I first started my trading career. So on the anniversary of my father's passing, now, of course, that's his father. You may have heard that I have an eidetic memory, and that's my grandmother. Of course, my grandfather, he had these cufflinks. Now, I always thought they were my father's until I blew up this picture. And like I said, I have an eidetic memory, so I remember that day, the day that it was taken. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at it in my mind right now. I remember going over to the house, picking up the chair in the kitchen, walking through the dining room. My mother picked that out. And we sit to this couch. And this couch is the office feeling couch you'd ever want to sit on. It's the acetone acetate couch. There's an old style phone booth behind my grandfather. And an old style phone cord tied to the wall. And it was one of the first phones that I tore apart. And inside it says, "It's illegal to do this." My mom sewed that hat. And I thought to myself, why is she sewing a hat on a sewing machine? It was a Singer sewing machine, mahogany base. Odd thing about it was there's not glasses on me, but I swear it looks like glasses. But the strange thing about it was after that day was over, or after that picture shot was over, I went outside. My father was a farmer, and we had a pump house. And back then you had those old spout cans you could use, and it'd have a metal lid. So I put my toe in that can, and I started singing a song, Yankee Doodle Dandy, because I had an Uncle Sam suit on. Then I realized there was blood leaking on my toe, and I looked down, and I just tore it off, and that did not feel very good, as you can tell. And they took me to the hospital. First time I ever been to the hospital like that, and the doctor put a needle, and I can still feel that needle coming in, and my mother passed out. And they gave her one of those smelling salts. And I thought to myself, well, why don't they give me one of those? So actually, on the anniversary of my father's passing, when I was asked for the third time, I agreed to accept the torch and share the timing with the trading community, not only WB's internal clock, but how it dovetails with the principles of Wyckoff and the Wyckoff wave. I took what was confusing and downright irritating with WB's email and turned it to what I wished I could have seen when I first started trading. I start with the 3 pillars of market success: news, fundamentals, and Wyckoff, he wasn't a big fan about news, but back then he didn't have to deal with algos. And as you can see right now, the algos are, we assume they're on the news feed. And of course, market timing, which you can really get that from me regarding the clock. And then boil it down to a roadmap with the turn by turn, how the market may potentially move and play out during the day. You will know with great certainty, 92% accuracy, if the high of day will be at the beginning or the end of the day, within 30 minutes, where the market may turn hour by hour. Not all days, but most days. We'll give you an example. S1. It's a day when you could actually go fishing. Of course, that's if you fished. We'll break this day out for you. Uh, Obviously, this is the chart that I designed. You can't get it anywhere. I got the code. And this is the previous day's range. So when the market opened up, you can easily see that a lot of supply volume hit it on the open, but we also opened up at the low of the previous day. So we got a strong push up. But what we want to look at is the opening balance. And we had a lot of webinars that talked about that, but you can easily see there's a lot of volume coming in. So we set the high, and I love that saying where no sellers want to go or where no buyers want to go. But we pull back. Now, ideally in WB's and Wyckoff's age, they'd pull back to the half back. Rare will ever see that. Algos always like to test those lows. I guess they can't do a half formula. This is telling us something. We have a higher low. It's the first thing. We move up. Yeah, it sure would be an ideal if we took that out, but it's not really time for that. And we're pretty much coming in at the mid AM turn. Then we pull back, as you can see, and we come back once again, and once again we get another higher low. So these three will give you the confirmation. Most likely, it's going to be a trend up day. More importantly, this sets the support line, as you can see. And, of course, that's going to do the overbought line. Notice what happens when price gets near the overbought line. A couple of things are happening here. We're nearing into the lunch time. It's only natural for price to drip up. London's closing. WB will close the peons. Get a little bit overbought. And then we drift back down. This is a drift, and you can see we're drifting down. So if you're ever wondering how far we're going to drift down, guess what? We're going to drift down to that supply line. That's also going to be timed to what? About 3:30ish. Then, of course, we close. That's 2:30. That'd be the 3 o'clock hour there. Then we're going to close. Now, the one thing you want to take away with this here is the overbought line. Excuse me. The bulls should have had enough momentum to push it at least close to the overbought line. And we start to round over about the 3 o'clock, and then you'll see a volume spike right there, which is telling you, for the most part, there's a high probability day is going to finish off a little bit weak, and you can see the volume once again is coming in. Bigger picture perspective of this is the S1H day. The reason we decided it's S1H day because we have a higher high at the turn 2 as it relates to turn 1, which is going to be here, the mid AM turn. So we have a higher turn 2. There's other reasons we could talk about the numerical numbers of the turn. Bottom line simply is this. If we've nailed turn 2 correctly, then we get the keepy day, and the keepy day is a mayonnaise doll. Now, these 2 days aren't consecutive, so we'll go ahead and look at the next day. As I said, our goal is to tell price to tell us how it wants to play out, and then see how it traded in turn 2 in relation to turn 1. Now, the S2 day, it's going to be a check mark down day if it's S2H day. And oddly enough, you got the AM high, and really, if you compare it to a different index, I have the Wyckoff wave, which is actually a proprietary index, but you can easily see that they're selling. They're selling here, they're selling there. A little bit lower low, so when the news, obviously the news event, they drop 30 stocks. You got to think about that. That's 1 minute bar here, possibly 2 minutes, 3 minutes, maybe 4 minutes. They got 30 stops that far. However, the clock gave that indication. Now on the E-mini, I need to tell you these are 1 minute bars you're looking at, and these are 10 minutes bars. And of course, then that would be an hour. The E-mini was already giving you the indication. Why? Because you have a series of a high, then a lower low, and a lower high. You can see basically we're working ourselves down. So when we get to here, the E-mini drops like a rock. However, if you look at the clock and the timing of the clock, on the S2H day, there is no mid-AM turn. So therefore, you can already anticipate that the lunch is going to be low because why? The AM was high. And then you get a strong little bounce. Where's it going to bounce up to? It's no brainer, guys. Mid-PM high. That's what the clock that WB came up with. And the last hour, where's it going to go? Well, it's going to go back down. Last hour low. Yesterday has, like I said, the keeper day, and it's the highest probability day to trend. And I would say that was pretty much trending down. Okay, S3 day, S3H day in this case. It's a wild card day. It's a wild card day simply because the turns somewhat are sometimes hard to understand, but not this day. We gap up. There's previous day. We're gapping up. Those floor trader pivots, obviously. What we want to take away here is we have a late and strong AM high. That's telling you a couple of things. The bulls are in control. Come back to mid AM low. Then, of course, you get the lunch high. Then the mid PM low and the last tower. Once again, we're looking at, for the most part, a square wave. Now, Bill liked to call it a buckwheat smile day, and he loved doing stuff like that. And what he means is it's his smile because buckwheat has some gaps in his teeth. That's really what he was saying. Those would be teeth, but to me, that's a square wave. All right. The S4 day has 3 doors. You're going to either have a normal. Let's go back for you here. You're going to have a normal, a link stink, and a wedge zoom. What you want to do on an S4 day, it's got 3 doors open as a trader. You want to shut the 2 and profit by the 3rd. I'll give you an example. Obviously, the day is not going to be normal as you would like, or maybe it will be. We're just kind of waiting to see. S4H day, we're looking at an AM high, but ideally, because it's an S4H day, we want the high to end up at the high. So when we opened up below the previous day and the AM high is actually below the settle, that's never a good day. So we can, for the most part, take out the normal. At that point, then we're looking at either a link stink or a wedge zoom. We don't want a link stink because it's just going to take all the bulls and make them really sorry because it's just going to basically do a link stink all the way down and just keep on going down. You don't want that. Wedge zoom. You got the potential for 2 different places, the mid AM here or the mid PM low. Many reasons for it, but you'll notice as price is selling down because for the most part, we never got open above the close. These are close. Should have told you that before. This is the close. Obviously, that's the open, and we lost the open at the mid AM high, and we couldn't even take that out. So for the most part, we're pulling off. Billers are selling. If you're in the I Am Pro chat, they'll always say when we got sale programs are turned on. I'll always make the comment they've released the crackling. That's what that means. So the 2 are synonymous. But if you look down at the Wyckoff wave, you can see a base of accumulation. They want to hold it. For whatever reason, they're going to hold it. Why? Because they're going to take it back up to the high. If you draw your supply line right here, obviously that'd be the ideal place to get in. And of course, you put your stop there, as everyone possibly know that. See this little lurch up right here? That's really what you're looking for. Wyckoff would say that the floating supply is pretty much diminished, and the floor traders are aware of that. So now they're going to switch side, and they're going to go to the long side. That's why you call that the short squeeze. A little bit later, we'd also call it bag holding, and I'll show you a video of what that would actually mean. So for the most part, you get the AM low, and we got the wedge zoom, which is what we're already anticipating. What does that tell us? We have a high probability that the day is going to end pretty much close to the high. We're not going to have as high as probability because we're not even out of the previous day's range. So the best we can hope for would be the close of the previous day. Pretty much came in about right there. And then, of course, we'll go up to the lunch high. Want the bulls to be strong, so you'd have a little dog leg back to the mid PM low. And then, of course, that'd be the lunch high. All right. Just to recap. To put it simply, now, if you guys ever watched the Moonshiners on the Discovery Channel, the first gallon is the head. It's a batch that's just getting started. The shine's just starting to drop out. The second gallon is the heart. It's where the good stuff is. And the 3rd to the 12th gallon is another part of the heart, most of the heart. And it should get better. More of the same, only better. And the 4th is the last gallon is the tail. And of course, that's the end. What you really want to take away with the clock is just a series of higher highs, higher lows is a bullish sign, or lower highs and lower lows is bearish. And the tuna billfish traders, they'll position at the bottom of a day 2 and consider exiting at the top of a day 4. I'll give you an idea. We'll go ahead and this would be S2L day. That'd be the low. For the tuna billfish, they'd want a position there. you're going to get the highest probability for trend because there's no mid AM turn. So then we're looking at the lunch, and then possibly a little pullback there for the mid PM. And ideally, we'd want the last hour to be high. That's where we're at, S2. That's where you've gotten long. The S3 day, that's going to be the gravy and the gap. You want that to gap up a little bit higher, and of course, do the same thing. It's going to go up. It's going to pull back up on the spiel, pull back most likely there. That way where you'd have the low. Now, the S3 day, you've got a potential, as I said before, it's a wild card. It could trade in a trading range, or it could just rip. On a trading range, say that would be, now you got the mid AM turn, so it would possibly get a little supply coming in there, pull back to the lunch, pull back to the mid AM, and then come up, something like that. Then the S4 day, let's just say we open up a little bit lower. And so S4H day, you'd want that to be higher. So the spiel would be down. Ideally, you want to get a little bit higher there, let's say. That'd be the AM high. And if a tuner billfish, you might have a high probability of getting out right there. Then you would pull back on the mid AM turn. Once again, that'd be low. Then the lunch, then the mid PM, and possibly finish as a high, and then maybe lose it all toward the close. So once again, that gives you an idea of the tuna and billfish. They're going to get at the low, or the AM turn on the S2L day, and then get out at the AM high on the S4H day. All right. So what kind of profit can you make? Well, here's a snapshot of the last 20 to 25 best trading days, and we're basically looking anywhere from August the 1st, August 27th. Each day before the opening bell by 9:07 every day in your email inbox, you'll get the day's levels, the points of inflection where price may potentially stop, look, and listen, and counter trend. Now, our goal is to get anywhere from 2 to 4 to 6 to 8 points. That's really what we want. There's 6. I think there's an 8 in there. There you go. And of course, on a one lot, that's what you're looking at. And a 3, that'd be what you'd be looking at on a one lot. 100, 300, 400, something like that. More out of these with a 2 to 4 point stop. Some days you're going to get a break even. And actually, we had a great day yesterday. Lost a lot on that big algo nonsense that happened at 10:01. Then we regained it at the last of the day, or right towards the end of the session, or the morning session. Some days you may break even with the end of the day with 2 to 4 points to the good. Other days are going to trend. Is an example of 8 to 10 or more points. And that's really what you want to. And if you've been paying attention to the chat, folks, and doing the presentations, you really want to be able to hold that trade longer so you got more profit for the drawdown from when you don't have those good days. It's there for you for the taking if you understand the clock and you have the patience. And even like Livermore said, or Jesse Levine, whichever Levine or Jesse Livermore said that the key to trading is sitting on your hands and letting the profits ride. This gives you an idea. We're looking at 368 points, like I said, about 20, 25 days. Total this out, net it out, 18,000 on a one lot, 55 on a 3. That's what you could have potentially made. Every day you'll have a clear-cut understanding where the market trends may play out. The high and the low of the day was 92% accuracy. Just imagine how your trade potential and confidence will improve, knowing where and when the high and the low of the day will trade. Imagine how you could hold your trade longer, faster, stronger, to put on more size and bank more profits to print a larger check every trading day. So what kind of profit do you see now? If you're just starting out, do you see your account go from red to green? If you've been sitting on it for a while or you've been trading for a while, do you see your account go from green to greener? Then each day before the opening bell, you'll get basically start out with the Globex open, where it traded at the high, Globex session, low. And of course, when we go to print, usually about 9:08:57 is my goal. I'm sure John pre-figured that out. And we're looking at the weekly pivot. And of course, we're giving you the floor daily pivots and all the from S1 to S2. Then from there, we're looking at, we're looking at the fair value. And of course, that's a day type, and that's a contract, and the day, and of course, the contract. seeing where price the previous day opened up to give you a comparison how it's coming together. And this is the first thing you're going to see is the open. That had been from the previous day, the high day from the previous day, the low, the settle, and of course the volume. And when we get some anomalies, we'll highlight those in magenta so you can kind of compare those. If you're trading out of the range, you're going to get color coded onto there. And of course, it may give you the real average trading range. Kind of give you a visual perspective of what you're looking at. Then the news. Now, to me, you can almost trade the market just reading the news if you kind of understand how the news writers think and what they write and what they're trying to do in reference to what the composite man manipulators want you to read. It kind of boils down to that. Anything you read is going to be about the Trump trade war, something going on with Chinese. Why? Because we're the biggest two bulls in the China closet. Simple as that. You're going to get the previous day's range or previous day's picture to reference from. My goal is for you to zoom this thing up. We'll talk about that. When you can, when it'll fit, we'll do the Wyckoff wave. And this is really what's telling you everything. This is how I'm actually to say, okay, I think we got a lot of distribution coming on at the top. You can easily see that. We get these volume spikes here. Of course, this is also the E-mini, mirroring what's going on with the Wyckoff wave. But for the most part, when you got that up thrust, that'd be concerning because we're looking at close to the lunchtime. And it's all ready for everything set up for the lunch slog. You got to pull back and you get the higher low. What's going to happen? Same thing. Set the supply line down. And of course, we got a little bit oversold a couple of times. But where do we rally back up to? Right up to there. And of course, we got a little folks that want to be a part of it and they got out. And the day traded off weak. And that's what we're looking for. Give you a narrative so it kind of refreshes what happened the day before. Of course, now we're looking at the sardine, tuna, billfish trade. For the most part, these are sardines. Sometimes you'll have some billfishes in there. This was an exceptional day. It doesn't happen every day. Be the first to say that. 25-point win there. We nailed a high of day at that point on that level. Doesn't happen every day. Again, one lot, we're looking at 1250 on a 3 lot, 3,750. And of course, we gave you a narrative how that played out. School of learning. This is the second pillar. Actually, the first pillar is the technical. We break out the Wyckoff wave, and we're giving you a narrative. And my goal is for you to kind of frame in your mind what's going on and kind of picture that in your mind. Cash in the E-mini, and once again, the narrative, how it played out and what possibly we're looking at. And then the market timing as the day traded the previous day according to the clock. Overnight geopolitical, to me, this is very important to kind of figure out what they were doing over the night. Kind of give you a straight from the source itself, Tokyo, Europe, and New York. Give you bearish when we can. We'll give you the points. And of course, what are the main talking points and what are people looking at? It's always going to be about Trump and China until we get through this. And we'll try to give you what's going on as far as the news that may move the market for that particular day. And over here, you'll see the Dow 30. And for the most part, blue means red. Kind of give you an idea. And of course, here's where the percentage was. And the pros and the numbers, what everybody wants to see. This is how WB would put it together. Once again, that's the day, odds down. That's exactly how WB would start off his email. That's a homage to WB, obviously. Settle. Just try to keep things consistent in the same place everywhere so you can keep pushing it in your mind. A little narrative, what's going on for the day. Give you a graphic so you can see from the number standpoint. Of course, that's where you're going to get the market recap, which to me is the most important thing. The video, how the day played out. And I'm doing a narrative of what's going on. So you actually get more types per word because I'm speaking. And a picture is worth 1,000 words. What's going on for the news and things you might want to keep your eye on and where they're really important. I'll bold it out. What happened over Globex and a bigger shell supply and demand. My goodness. What we're looking at. How the Asian traded, and of course, once again, graphic, and then you get the edge. That kind of tells you how potentially this day may play out, what to look for visually, the cycle bias, whether it's going to be bullish or bearish, and then where the turns may play out. And then, of course, always be nimble, be quick. Don't let the market make you sick. Okay. I try to highlight the most important things. This is from the desk of It won't be every day updated, but we'll still keep the most important things. And to me, that's the most important thing, is that we never forget what happened. I share with you what happened with being my father. Strangely enough, that's really how that played out. More importantly, our lives were never the same after that day. So we like to do a looking forward statement, what you could possibly look at. I'll keep this theme resonating, and I talked about it all the time. JP Morgan said, hey, started this week, and you got that September the 11th. That's an issue. Now is the time to buy. Time will tell if they were right or early. Now, I didn't have enough room. I was going to type, or are they looking to sell us something? That's really what I was saying, because that's how the old school market manipulators played the game. For you number people, if you add 506, which would be 5 and 6 together, you're going to get September the 11th. It's kind of an irony there. I like those kind of things. Here's a testimonial. This is really just the only source available as it relates to WB's internal clock. Asked Brian S., who's a subscriber to watching the webinar. Thank you. Friday went just like you said it would this morning. Thursday as well. This can be a big help with my trading as another complement to my setup. Best regards, Brian S., country is USA. Now, I'll give you an example of what it looks like. For the most part, that's the layout. You'll notice it's old school. I'll start from the top. You'll notice it's old school. It's designed that way. Look like the magazine of Wall Street. No fancy graphics, just colors that I think Wyckoff would have used if he had color in his opportunity. Once again, that's a big picture from Nancy. That's a big thing that's been going on. Let's get to the market recap video. You click on that. We'll go ahead and get this started for you. Oops. Now, we're going to go ahead and skip ahead. Still private report. Let's see. I'll feedback. Go ahead and feedback any on. Kind of like it over at the side. Okay. And we'll try to see it. You really kind of start to see a bid coming in here. But then, of course, here's where the price is really starting to get. Now, we'll just cut right to the chase. Old timers would have called that bag holding. And simply because they're letting the other guys sell into this bag. And what they do, there's a little string around the bag, of course. And then they take the string and they pull it, and they got them trapped in the bag. You imagine that little circle going into about right to there. And they got them trapped in the bag. And that's really what the bag holding is supposed to represent. That these guys are now trapped. And what happens is, well, they get squeezed, hence the short squeezed. And of course, that would be the sign of strength and last point of support. Now, in the 1930s, they didn't really have a lot of verbiage to use. So it's more or less a picturesque perspective. And of course, you remember one was talking about is that an upside down head and shoulders. Wyckoff despised those geometrical formations. So yeah, I agree with David. Yeah, don't get too hung up on those. But you're looking at the price behavior and principles in the market that play itself out every day. So let's go ahead and get rid of the bag. And you can see what Wyckoff would say would be shortening of the downward thrust. The same thing we drew the other day. You can see the difference coming in here. Now, we have a supply line from here, actually down to here. So your supply line starts to here. Of course, I've already drew it. But what you want to take away is these downward push. They don't have the energy to even touch the supply line. That's telling you, say once again, from here, I should be touching the supply line. That's telling you a bid's coming into the market. Once again, you can look at those in 5-minute bars, which David did an outstanding job how those bars, Wyckoff, he would say you got the supply line, and this would be a buying test. You want to be able to aggressively take out the supply line. So that would be the sign of strength to here. And then, of course, you're still looking for the context of the trade, and you're looking for price to pull back to the last point of support. And for the most part, it's above that supply line. And we're going to look at the ticks. But if you missed it, I'm sorry, you really missed a great explanation in detail with market internals. But from the bigger picture, 5,000 foot perspective, and you'll see it better on the E-mini. But you can see the price. I understand, guys, we're coming from 1 o'clock into 2 o'clock, and about 2:30, that's when all the big boys are coming back. At these times, it just set up the way they should be set up. So if you look at the timing of the clock, it's just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing to see. But you get this extremely push up, and you'll see it in the E-mini, how you see volume coming in here. But then the pullback, we're looking at it's just drifting back. So we get a push up from, say, 1 o'clock up to about, technically about 1 to 10, then pull back, say about 1:30. So you're looking at about 30-minute push up. We'll mark it from here. And then from, say, 30 down, we're looking at about 20 minutes down. Okay, and this is Wyckoff. So see the distance you're getting from here to here. We'll call it, we'll call it a 10 value. Okay, so the distance you're getting to here, we'll call it a 5 value. So from a bullish run, it is lasting 10 minutes more and gaining 5 times in a unit than the bearish pullback. Bearish pullback was only 10 minutes and could only regain 5 or half. So you want to factor in the interaction of price, volume, and the last variable is obviously time. So that's what you're looking at. So and I'll talk about intuition on the webinar, but that's really what you want to kind of get a handle on is intuition. Wyckoff is all about that. Of course, once again, they were just using a ticker tape, a Translux machine later in the year, and chalk boys. I mean, you got to really look at how the situation was back then. But the principles are still the same. The bigger picture, we just pulled back to the half back. And David talked about the 78s and the 80s. I'll try to lay it out for you, but I can't do it the way with the eloquence that he did because it's his philosophy. But I'll try to show you. He made the comment, I believe it was around 150, what they were talking about. And you can see the 78s here. What you want to look at, and these are ticks. This would be like the most negative tick you can look at. So you can see here, these are like the, I believe I've got these as, I'll have to check what ticks they are. Pretty just normal ticks though. Yeah, I believe they're off the S&P. I'd have to check. But either way, you can see it's getting minus 800, usually about minus 10, minus 1,000, minus 1,100. But either way, minus 800, in other words, they're trying to push all these securities they're trying to push consistently in the milliseconds, or 1,000th of a millisecond. And we've already got the low end, so we're just retesting. 78.77, we'll say 78.78, 78.78, and you see how the ticks are now increasing, and that would be the bag holding. They're holding that 78. And of course, he said, okay, you know, if you can get to 80, you would basically put in a buy stop, what that would be. But if you got to 80s, then obviously you get the buy stop and put your trade in, your stop in at the 78. But when you're looking at the ticks, you see how now they're less negative. As a matter of fact, they're coming more positive, and then they are positive as price is now moving up. So if you can envision that bag slowly being pulled up, then obviously those shorts are going to get squeezed. So that's just a visual you can use. And once again, We're looking at 84, 84. And these are 1 minute. Well, you can see that they're 1 minute. But for the most part, that's really what we're talking about, is those internals are improving as price is still trying to go lower, but it's not able to get any ground. And of course, this is volume, and you can see the volume is practically drying up. That's just the Wyckoff wave. We'll go ahead and look at the E-mini, and you'll get a little better perspective. Now, for my eyes, we'll do a couple of things. It was nothing but net all the way down for the bears until we got down to where, got to get the time in there for you. Until we got down to where the timing. And we're coming in about 10 o'clock, about right there. For S2H day, we're looking for the AM high. And it doesn't mean it's the high day, obviously, because you have the spill down. Spill down was perfect. Spill down was real, very real. Got sealed at 10 o'clock, popped it back up on a weak rally to less than a third. And AM high came in about 10:25-ish or so, right there. Beautiful. So what are you looking for? Well, it depends how you look at market dynamics and what you use, but old school, you can take the distance from here to here, which you'll see exactly. I drew a line from here to here, and it tags exactly where that exact high was. And once again, these are algos. And I'll throw that microscope in there for you. Oops, got to go down. You can see it just touched the lunch flow. So that maximum distance. And Polaris Group PTT David, he used the average true range of the past 10 days, which is just ideal also. It just really, all the stars were lining up, all the reasons to come in. But for the most part, you can see a bid coming in here because we got this high volume node. You can see a bid coming in here. I'm going to zoom this up so you can see it. Well, we got to get that out and make more sense. But go down one. Okay. So ideally a bid was coming in here. Ideally a bid was coming in here. Now I went ahead and drew a line so you can see. As far as algos, it's okay because they're bigger traders. They don't get hurt because they're controlling the algos. And we can see price coming in here. And of course, we see a little intermediate. It's a 1 minute bars, sign of strength, half at the half point. And then, of course, you can see volume coming in here. That's not selling, that's buying because they've been buying right here. So once again, you can easily see it on the E-mini. Once you put it in the top, notice for the most part, you're just pretty much coming into that supply line. I didn't want to get too many lines that get you all kind of too much distortion there. Okay, as you can see, we've got the supply line. And once again, these are the market recap videos I do. And I don't time them, but when there's nothing going on, they're going to be about 18 minutes. When there's something going on and we got really things to talk about regarding Wyckoff and WB, could run 40 to 48 minutes. Just what it is. What I really want to bring to bear on your eyesight is this little impetus right here. It's what I'd call the vesica pisci. This is where the great, actually, I know this sounds strange, but this is really where this bull move or bull rally came from. This little piece right here. Now, Wyckoff, he always talked about waves and waves upon waves and upon waves and upon waves. Now, in the 1930s, they did not have fractal mathematics, membrograms, plots, and none of that stuff. Well, they had imaginary numbers, I guess. Or maybe they didn't. Now we have fractals. And if you pay attention as a trader, you want to get your eye to see these things. And I talked about that intuition, and I wasn't just blowing smoke. It's really intuition, what Wyckoff wanted people to understand. It's how you get this feeling and you feel it with your heart. Hey, I think they're going to go to change. And then a point you'll get to make it, the market's going to decide if you're right or wrong. But if you see this movement right here, it's actually a fractal of this movement from here all the way down to here. Same exact thing. Now, if your eye is still able to tree in on it, you'll notice another movement from here all the way to here. Okay? Now, once again, I said I felt they were hitting a bid, and that's why. Now, the bigger picture perspective, from the tuna and the billfish perspective, I know this sounds strange, and we always want the market to rip up, but this had the potential of being preliminary support. And I said this. First of this week, it was either Monday or Tuesday. I said this, and I'll let it play out, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's not that I'm so smart. It's just Wyckoff. This is what Wyckoff brings to the table. This is how you can get a better feel for those potential moves, because the market's going to be moving in waves and patterns. Now, obviously, from this standpoint, we got a couple of things. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but you should have your eye already trained. Immediately, you should see that volume moving up, that you saw this price moving down. That's why I said it has potential for preliminary support. And where would that move exactly in? High probability, because they weren't ready to buy it any higher. The composite man is only going to be willing to lift those offers to the point to where he feels this is the two levels I'm going to buy. And that's really what I was saying in this video, market recap video, that you get in your inbox. Ideally, I'm going to pop it out to John at 8:57. You'll get about 9:00 or 9:03, 9:07. Sometimes internet has issues, but the bottom line is you're going to get that to give you a better feel, to give you an understanding of what's going to happen. I'll go ahead and play it the rest of the way, but this is that potential selling at preliminary support. And of course, overnight globals had potential to take it all the way down. Either Thursday, which happened, we got that low in. And of course, Friday, we're moving it back up. Either way, listen as we continue. But for the most part, you can easily see it. And the E-mini is doing what it needs to do. Now, we see the volume increasing major on the E-mini, of course. And then on the pullback, we see volume decreasing. I'll clear it up so you can see it easy. See the volume's increasing on the rally. We'll start to here. And of course, it's decreasing. Almost a nothing on the reaction. That's a perfect storm. So Wyckoff would say you would take the count from there. For the most part, there's two waves of buying there. And of course there. And where does the AM high get to? Because we got the lunch high in. And this came in thereabouts about 1 o'clock. And that's telling you something. Normally it's 1:30. So that's telling you that the downward push is not able to even get it past 30 minutes. And so when we look coming in about the 150 mark, which is when the market starts in the afternoon, then pretty much, WB would have said that the bulls brought the soap, because, they could have pushed that over a little bit more, but for the most part, a bid was coming in. So then we're looking at the mid PM high, and that gets sealed about, we'll say 250, which is right on cue. Now this part right here, from here up to here, that's called residual bull, which means it went ahead and blurred past the window where we would have liked. And that's okay, because we're now getting a pullback because we're looking for the last hour low. And of course, a little bit of an increase on the pullback from the last hour low. So we'll have to just see how it plays out. That's why at least we have potential big picture preliminary support. Can't guarantee it. That's really what we're looking at. And you can see price came in, like I said earlier, was trying to get a bid in there. And of course, it just kept going lower and lower and lower. So using the clock and the market principles that David was talking about, and the Wyckoff principles from the sign of strength, the last point of support. Wait until a count is the greatest account you'd want. Wait until a base is accumulated. Those are all a buying test, which we'll talk about at another time. Then it's only ideal that this, once again, is a sign of strength. And ideally a last point of support. But the only downside is the volume really started coming out on that pullback, as you can see. Now, I'm not a big fan of saying who's stock and who's short. I think it's ideal when you do that. You can really look at it from that perspective. Like I said, Wyckoff, he never talked about stuck short. He just talked about the composite man and what his intent was for moving the market to meet his desires. All right, traders. It's ideal from a clock standpoint. This is really what you would have wanted for a perfect day. Perfect storm, S2H day. Doesn't get better than that. A little challenging because you're thinking the algos are going to take it lower, but you really look for, and PQ Wall most likely would have called that something like a fib squat, some other folks. But basically, you're just looking at prices compacting itself as a volume is pretty much coming in, and that's what they call it, the bag holding. All right, traders, that's pretty much an outstanding day. Added a few more things, and once again, this is the ending of the Dow 30, and the takeaway there is here. See, for the most part, we're looking about 1.5%, 2% down on all the securities. Not what you're going to see. I did add this, and like I said, I promised that I talked about the Johnny-come-lately bulls that were coming to the party late, and they definitely got themselves hurt that previous day and obviously today. And it was kind of a little bit different for me because I actually brought this online the day Nancy brought out her press announcement that Friday. So if you want to check it out, I'll click on it. Pretty much outlines the philosophy of how we're looking at life and trading, and basically an opportunity to just encourage people to be the greatest they can be. I had a few typos I need to take out, but just focusing all my efforts on the webinar. But the thing about it was, this is what inspired it. We were in the chat, and my buddy Trader Dave, he brought it up, and it really burned me up. And you can read the copy, but it really bothered me, and it just really came together well. So a lot of good quotes. That's my favorite man. A lot of people say I sound like him when I'm well rested, but of course, Top Gun here. And I try to think of this quote every time. It's just classic Bond, but it's classic looking at life. She says, "This may be too much for a blunt instrument to understand, but arrogance and self-awareness seldom go hand in hand." And I really studied that for a long time. That's just classic writing. A lot of quotes there. I thought of my father when I put that in there, and if you get a chance, just read it. Basically, we're also talking about the newsletter and the opportunity to subscribe to the newsletter. That's really what it boils down to. All this is pretty much all the experiences I've had in life. I believe this is going to the right one, just to let you see. Then obviously that would click you right over to Mr. Top Step, apply to the coupon, and rock and roll. I really do enjoy doing this. I feel fortunate to do this. So when I'm no longer here, I would still like this to be out. So this would be pretty much the mark I'd like to leave as while I was here on the place. All right, let's get back to it. Now, the good news is I'm still here, so let's go ahead and get this wrapped up for you here. Let me ask you a question. Are you feeling excited? Are you feeling overwhelmed? What is the goal of life? About 2 years, I've been working on that complex philosophical question. And after my birthday, took a whole week off and I gave it a lot of thought. And Sigmund Freud said the goal of life is to die. And I said, well, that doesn't sound very fun at all. And so I was looking at from a perspective of not to have the biggest Mercedes, the biggest Bentley, but what is the goal of life? And really, what it boiled down to me and possibly for others, I came up with this. To move through time easily, effortlessly, stress-free while maintaining the biggest visceral experience. Now, a lot of folks live small lives of quiet desperation. And what I found out from a lot of research that I did was the real achievers, they want to live largely, be the biggest they can be and have the biggest goals and live large. That's really what I'm saying is these two goals to move easily and effortlessly is one way, but to be the biggest you can be, that's going to take some effort. So you're always moving between these two. And the reason it was important, I felt if we had a goal for life, then we could set a framework for living. And that would give us an idea how we could play and manage each day as we move through time. And I thought some more, and I said, well, then, what's the goal of trading? As traders, we seem to want this. Position at the least risk while exiting at the greatest reward. And of course, that boils down to lose the least and win the most using the timing of the internal hidden E-mini clock. Now I realize this is not going to be for everyone, and that's okay. But for the folks who really get it, the folks who really understand how this clock can give you the edge you've been looking for, this is for you. So right now, you should only have two questions. Am I happy being an outsider, and do I want to trade against the insiders? If you can answer no to both questions, then your next response needs to be yes, send me your newsletter today. Now, we've already gone through this, what kind of profit you can make. Obviously, ideally, we're looking at 2 to 4 points. Some days you get more, some days less. Of course, obviously, right there is a good day. As we've already went through these numbers, you've already seen them. And really, the question is buying is easy, but exiting is hard. And that's really what we're trying to give you the advantage of is how to use the timing of the clock, how to use Wyckoff wave to give you that certainty and help build that intuition I talked about. So what kind of profit? As a new trader, do you see your account go from red to green? A seasoned trader, do you see your account go from green to greener? When you subscribe, you're going to get the previous day's real-time Globex, overnight geopolitical, peon, Asian trade. Of course, the cash real-time open, high, low, close, and settle with volume. 2-day highest high, highest low, weekly pivot, support, resistance, along with the daily pivot, R1, R2, R3, and S1, R2, S3. Narrative how the insiders may position their trading positions in the Globex overnight. And actually, we make that now 8:30, highest low and lowest low, highest high and lowest low. Pros in the numbers. WB's proprietary turns, S1, S2, S3, and S4 with their probability and expectations. A visual expectation for the day. Notable traits and behavior to keep in mind for the trading day. Normal, how the day should play out and where the day's high and low should be. Owning, that's what earns you the big bucks and how the market will play out. And of course, the detailed description. Observations of the day started to the end of the day, the mode in the mind of the traders, how the news events, catalysts shape the traders' thoughts and trades, how each side would have traded from bull cash and, of course, from bear cash, and the levels and the events. Previous day supply and demand was fair value and settle. Big picture levels where price is poised to stop, look, and listen. Fine-tune levels where price may have had a greater propensity to reverse. A narrative of the overnight developments in Asian, European markets, and events on top for the current trading day with times for trade alignment. The clock for the current trading day. A breakdown of potential highs and lows for each turn in the market, outline of time of each potential high and low, description of the type of day with the possible scenarios that may play out. When appropriate, a possible outline how events may play out within the day. A drill down of time and price and a turn of each series day turn. And of course, the daily market recap videos, which I think is really the most value. A narrative of the days is seen by Wyckoff from the composite man's perspective. A visual chart graphic with areas of support and resistance outlined. Layout of how the clock turn may have played out with spoken audio. Personal view from the author of AM Turn, E-mini Market Timing newsletter. Dive deep of the previous days. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Do you want to know the insider knowledge, how the market works? Do you want to know how the insiders trade with that knowledge? And do you want to know the inside skinny from Cousin Vinny? That's an homage to the master himself, WB. I've read hundreds and hundreds of books on old school insider trading. I've seen hundreds of thousands of hours of screen time and continue to read and see time and sales going more and more every day. Because I'm always on the lookout for new insights, new ways to place old school trades in this modern day algo millisecond age. I'm always looking for a new quiver in my toolbox to make my job as a trader easier to survive this Trump tweet era. I'm always looking for a new angle to approach professional trading. The tips, the tricks, the tools that blow me away with how brilliant they are, the things that make me go, wow, I never thought of that before. That's amazing. Those are the things I'm looking for, and that's what I'm offering you today. I've given you a new lens through which to view an amazing and successful approach to trading like the insiders do use the hidden clock. Wyckoff principles of judgment without investing in expensive software, data feeds, price lagging indicators. It's a filter that you can apply so you can understand what I understand, so you can benefit from the countless thousands of hours of research and trading I've already done. You know that. Yes, you're a trader. You understand the pain of slaving away at something that should be a world of abundance. In your head, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. But for whatever reason, at the end of the day, when you sit down and you look at the chart on the right-hand side at 4:15, pull it up on your computer, it just doesn't come out right. You take a step back, look at the chart as painted, and you say to yourself, that's it. I should have seen that. What was I thinking? Why couldn't I have seen that in real time when it was happening? You know you had the potential to see the turns before they happen. You're passionate about trading the market. You're excited about it, and you love it. Yes, but you just can't get it right. What are you missing? What mental block is stopping you from figuring this out? I'm here to help you remove it. This is why I'm so excited to introduce to you the Wyckoff AM Trader AM Turn Intraday Newsletter. What makes this different from every other newsletter out there? I'm just an average guy, just like you. I can never be a Batman, a Wyckoff, a Livermore, or Elliott. I'm just Robin. If I had this opportunity when I first started, I would have saved tens of thousands of dollars and years of time. The number one thing that helped skyrocket my success was learning directly from mentors that were where I wanted to be. If I personally spoke with you and gave you all the knowledge I've learned after 10 years of trading in the trenches with thousands of dollars to find out what really works, plus the help from all my mentors, would this be worth it? So tell me, what is it worth to feel fulfilled, happy, satisfied with your ability to pick the levels of the market where the turn should occur? What is it worth to you to learn how the insiders think about the market? And exactly do you need to achieve the same level of success? Now, there are some newsletter subscribers that would gladly pay $300 per month for their subscription. In fact, some of them have told me that they would pay 10 times as much for their subscription. But you won't even pay half as much, not even a quarter of it. If you order immediately during this webinar in the next 10 minutes, I'm also giving you access to a member-only website, the Mr. Top Step portal for the AM Turn. You get a special email with a special webinar link from me, only if you order my newsletter right now. Inside the member-only portal, you have access to the archived AM Turn newsletters and a direct link to ask me any questions you may have about the hidden clock, Wyckoff, any other email questions for just $29 billed monthly on your credit card. That's about 8 cents per day. Heck, you probably got that much stuck in the cracks of your couch. Heck, 60% off on normal rate of $49. Why so low? Because I'm on a mission to save as many traders from the evil algos to help tuna, billfish, and sardine traders add more green to their bottom line. The best part is you can take a look at my AM Turn and receive everything I mentioned here at absolutely no risk or obligation. In other words, by taking me up on this offer, you're agreeing to try my work to see if you like it. I know it will be one of the best financial decisions you will ever make. If you decide for any reason my work is not right for you, just let me know. and it will stop your subscription. You can keep everything you've ever received so far. Here's another testimonial. Just take a look at one of the AM Turn subscribers across the pond has to say. Hey, Wyckoff, I have subscribed. I won't turn this into a long-winded email, but I'm just a regular guy, London-based, 42, 2 kids, work for a private bank. I don't have time to trade at all, really, at the moment, and it's difficult with my job. I wished I was 25, living in Chicago or New York 20 years ago, and knew WB. I think his work was extraordinary, and I promise I will read your emails every afternoon. London time to relive WB's methods and continue to learn from his body of work. Best wishes, Rob L., Country, England. Now, if you're still skeptical, that's perfectly fine. I understand. I would be too. There are lots of people who claim to know the secret to trading the market every day. YouTube is full of them. How do you know my newsletter will work for you? Luckily, you don't have to take my word for it, because my newsletter comes with a full 30-day guarantee. If my newsletter doesn't inspire a great thesis, if it doesn't teach you how the insiders look at the market, if it doesn't show you how the professionals run a campaign, how to get the best trade locations, time your trade with insiders and the algos, if you don't find it educational, if you don't find it entertaining, if you don't like the sound of my voice, if you don't like my writing style, I will stop your subscription, no questions asked. You literally have nothing to lose. So go ahead and click on the order button below. The best part is you can take a look at my AM Turn and receive everything I've mentioned here at absolutely no risk or obligation. In other words, by taking me up on this offer, you're agreeing to try my work to see if you like it. I know it will be one of the best financial decisions you will ever make. If you decide for any reason my work is not right for you, just let me know and we'll stop your subscription. You keep everything received so far. Here's another testimonial. This really is the only source available as it relates to WB's internal clock. Just ask Brian Hurst, who subscribed after watching my webinar and sent me this email. Hey, glad I finally get signed up for the clock turns. Good luck and thanks. Brian Hurst, Country, USA. There's 3 ways to subscribe today. 1, just go ahead and go out to WycoffTrader.com. At the very top, you're going to see Join Now. Click the button. 2, once again, go out to thegreatestme.org, scroll down, click the button there at the bottom, enroll me as a charter subscriber to the AM Turn. 3, go straight to the source, my business partner, Mr. Top Step. Hit products, WycoffTrader, take you right there. Once again, Mr. Top Step, Wycoff AM Trader. Now, when you click the button, you're going to see this. All you got to do is click that button. It's going to take them to a secure, I think 128-bit encryption. Fill in your details on your billing address, and you'll be rocking and rolling the next day with the AM Turn in your email inbox. Just want to give back for all the giants and shoulders who's fortunate to stand upon have given me. Thank you for your time. Subscribe to my newsletter, the AM Turn, only $29 monthly. Do it now. Do it, and do it today. If you just got one trade idea, would it be worth the monthly subscription? Now, a few years ago, I was driving on a Texas road. It was a 3-digit off-road, the worst off-road Texas highway you can possibly be on. Saw a big sign that says, today only, Pit Barbecue, you know the place. Only 13 miles down the road. And I thought, these folks thinking fib numbers. And strangely enough, every 8, every 5, then on the 1 mile, look up and there's this line of traffic. Pulled off on the side of the road. Buses, trucks, kids running around. I get to the old abandoned gas station. I walk in. See this big old boy sitting up on a big platform with big hogs and cows full of ice coolers of fresh barbecued beef. Takes a big slab, throws it up on the board, takes 2 knives, carves like a Senzar Jinzu knife, sushi chef, and he takes what we would normally eat at a pit barbecue place and just throws it in the trash, just a big old trash can. And then he puts what he thinks is the best of the best and puts it on a plate. Now, I walk up to this cute little Texas cutie and I ask her, I said, hey, can I just try a taste? And she looks at me and says, look here, baby doll, if you buy it, you can try it, all you want. And that's all I'm saying. Just try the newsletter. See if it works for you. You're going to know one way or another. If you find the AM turn does not live up to your expectations, drop me an email or call, and I'll address your concern. If you're still not satisfied, of course, we'll stop your subscription and let you keep all the newsletters. Money replenishes, time does not. You can do nothing, stay broke, comfortable, or pony up the tiny investment and give it a shot. It's risk-free. If information was enough, you could DuckDuckGo it, YouTube it, or just Google it. You need a guide who's been there before and who can take you there now. I just want to give back to what all the giants whose shoulders I've been forced to stand upon have given me. Thank you for your time. Subscribe to my newsletter, The AM Turn, only $29 monthly. Do it now. Do it, and do it today. The 5 top reasons you want to subscribe today. The best $29 e-mini market timing newsletter available anywhere. 1/10 the invested in most trading rooms. You can stay in touch with what's going on with the market and work full-time job and review the newsletter after you get off work, like my friend did in Europe. See Wyckoff principles at work in real time in the market and get a better understanding of how to time your trades with WB's clock. I'll leave you with this. The number one mistake most traders make is to step back and wait for the market to prove them right when they should be ready, willing, and able to let the market prove them wrong. The qualities essential to the equipment of speculator, trader, investor are judgment, self-reliance, courage, prudence, and pliability. And these should be added to quality and patience. In brief, rigid self-control is half the battle. You must train yourself to act upon your decisions and to carry them to successful conclusion. Operate with no emotions. Be indifferent to each trade's outcome. Be willing to let the market prove you wrong. I just want to get back, finally, what all the giants and shoulders have been forced to stand upon have given me. Thank you for your time. Subscribe to my newsletter, The AM Turn, only $29 monthly. Do it now, do it, and do it today. Thank you for your time. This ends the presentation.